Hello, my wonderful people. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to another edition and a very intriguing moment here in Corewave TV. Please kindly support this channel by hitting the subscription button and liking the video. Share the video like never before. As in the heart, we bring in the undiluted, of course, reportage of events. Keeping it real has been a commitment, and you can support us by hitting the subscription button, and we are good to go. It is important at this time as the nation, of course, navigate through what I call the dark ages or the dark moments of history, of course, to set the record straight. Here comes a legal luminary who was very bold enough to dare, of course, anyone who claims that, of course, that the military coup was an Igbo coup. He said that that amounts to historical profanity and does not in any way reflect the true position of what transpired. That the military coup was led by disgruntled, of course, officers who were not happy with the development within the Nigerian system as of that time, and they perceived or perhaps believed that there could be a better governance and a better administrative heads who will pilot the affairs of this country. Seeing that the Tafawa Balewa and Six administration have not been able to address myriads of problems bedeviling the Nigerian populace as of that time. We are just, of course, trapped with the current realities. It has not been new in the history of Nigeria. We have not gotten it right, and people blaming the Igbo race to have, of course, plotted the civil, the military coup was just an attempt, of course, to discredit the Igbo race and the Igbo speaking regions so within the country. It was just sponsored because of hatred, and people should get to set the record straight. I will leave you with this great revelation, of course, made by this great luminary over the affairs and what transpired in the course of the military coup and people who were involved. He said this is just a historical profanity. It is not true and should not be regarded by anyone who wants to gain cheap propaganda or sponsor such false news. Just listen.
Whenever I hear people say the 1966 coup was an Igbo coup, the records led by 100 sheep. Ekpomoruri was a lion that led 100 sheep. The Little Two Constitution of 1954. And of course, all these heralded after the constitutional conferences with our own Chief Anthony Nahoro moving Nigeria's motion for independence to the 1960 Independence Constitution, where we gained flag independence from Britain, but we're still subservient until 1963, when we became Republican. So the Senate has always been there since that 1946. It is the bulwark, the wedge between military juntas, successive military juntas, and the civil populace. The reason we call it a military government is because the legislature has been removed. So Dr. Nwafo Orizu took over from Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who had become the ceremonial president of Nigeria. And of course, during the January 15, 1966 military coup. Chief Ekpomoriri and others were removed from office preemptorily by the military coup led by some young idealistic officers. And let me very quickly correct one historical profanity. One historical profanity. Because by the grace of God, I'm not just a lawyer, I'm an historian and an archivist. And things must be put in historical perspective. Whenever I hear people say the 1966 coup was an Igbo coup, it is a lie from the pit of hell. It is not true. It was a coup led by dissatisfied, disgruntled Nigerians. There were 21 people in all, with the forefront leader being Major Kaduna Nzogu Chukuma from Okpanam near Asaba in the present day state. Therefore, let me tell you that others who have always made them to say it was an Igbo coup were Major Emmanuel Ifeashuna, Major Chris Anuforo, Major Timothy Onwatuego, Major Humphrey Chukwuka, Major Don Okafo, Captain Ben Bully, Captain Emmanuel Mobosi, and Captain Boko Oji. These were the 7 Igbos. But now, let us look at the list of the coup players. We have Major Adewale Ademoyegun. He was Yoruba. He's the one who authored the book, Why We Struck. We had Captain Chi Adeleke. He was Yoruba. We had Captain Fola Oyewole. He was Yoruba. Who authored the book, The Reluctant Rebel. We had Lieutenant Aru Egbiko. He was Ishan from our own Edo state. We had Lieutenant Tijani Kassina. He was Hausa Fulani. We had Lieutenant O Olafe Miyo, Yoruba. We had Captain Gibson Jalo. He was of the Middle Belt. We had Lieutenant Hope Harris Egaga. He was an Urobo man. We had Lieutenant Dag Waribori. He was an Ichoman. We had Second Lieutenant Saleh Dambo. He was Hausa. And we had, finally, Second Lieutenant John Atom Bera. Many of you knew him as a military administrator. He was of TV extraction. They were 21. So whenever you hear people say it was an Igbo coup in 1966 that removed the Senate and the entire National Assembly, tell them it is historically incorrect. It's not correct. Haven't put this one in its proper place. I have defined from my own dictionary, which I've termed Ozekpedia. Because you have Wikipedia, you have Encyclopedia. I have my own Ozekpedia. I have brought out certain demos that we are practicing. Demo means people. Crazy means about them. We practice so many crazes except demo. That word defined by Abraham Lincoln on the 19th of November 1863 during his Gettysburg Declaration as government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Do we have government of the people in Nigeria today? What we have, electionocracy. Electionocracy is a system where every 4-year interval we go through a ritual to elect or select our leaders. They use 2 years to go around thanking the people and doing 1 or 2 road projects, which will be washed away after the first rain. They use the 3rd year campaigning silently, and by the 4th year, it is full-blown election. So we don't really have democracy dividends. We don't have people to impact on the common people. We only have people who come and give some rice, some mudus of rice and wrappers to people, or 5,000 naira to 10,000 to vote for them or select them or elect them. And then after that, they forget the people. Do you see them again when they are elected? They are in dark, blackened vehicles. And they won't even open the door to wave at you to say, well done. So that is electionocracy. From my encyclopedia, the next one is legislatocracy. Legislatocracy is a crazy which is not democracy, by which the legislators, instead of looking at section 4 of the Constitution to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of Nigeria, they make laws for their pockets. They do not consider the people. The present Senate, since Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Dr. Nwafo Orizu, Dr. Joseph Waya, has been the worst of all the Senates in Nigeria's history, with the 8th Senate arguably being the best, because they could challenge executive lawlessness and impunity. This Senate is a Senate of Agama Lizard. Agama Lizard is simply saying yes, yes, yes. It will never say no. Yes, Mr. President. Any budget, any request, yes, sir, Mr. President. So I call them Mr. Yes, Yes Senate. I've also called them Mr. Take a Bow Senate. A person has come before the Senate to be examined and scrutinized for a critical national assignment. And you look at the person, I say, oh, Professor Michael Zekome, I say, we know you. We know you will do the job very well. Take a bow. So everybody goes there to take a bow. What makes you think I can do the job? Have you interrogated me? Have you asked about my bona fides? Whether I'm a square peg in a square hole? Have you found out? That is not the kind of Senate that we are looking for. By the way, what is the problem? What is the business of senators and House of Rep members doing constituency projects? What is their business? Their job is to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of Nigeria. Is there section 4 of the Constitution? There's nowhere they mention constituency. So it is the system that corrupts us, and power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So we cannot have a Senate, instead of getting concerned about oversight functions under sections 88 and 89 of the Constitution, to hold the executive and even the judiciary accountable. You have senators, when ministers come and members of the DMOs, DMA, they ask them, what do you have for us? So if their budget, for example, is going to be 500 billion, they must build in that for the legislators. That budget of 5 billion will become about 700 to 800 billion. No country grows like that. No country. By the way, if you look at section 63 of the 1999 Constitution, the National Assembly is to sit for no less than 180 days. That means 6 months in a year. That is why you see many legislators engaging in business, contrary to constitutional provisions that they should not, except farming. The reason is that they have much time in their hands. All you need to do is to schedule your time and make sure you have sat for 6 months in a year. Then in such a case, I have recommended again and again, what do we need a full-blown National Assembly for? What do we need 109 senators for? What do we need 360 members of the House of Representatives for? All of them constituting a drain pipe on our national portraying national treasury. I do not see. Thank you. I do not see why it cannot be enough for 3 senators to represent a state, one for each senatorial district, to take care of the people something. If you want, scrap the Senate, let the House of Reps stay. Or you scrap the House of Reps and let the Senate stay. The alternative, there's an option. The option is let them sit on part-time basis and collect only honorarium, sitting allowance. If you have legislators taking sitting allowance, then you will find that it is those who are really ready to serve Nigeria. People like Senator Oyofo, for example, who was already a guru in the oil business. He left. He wanted to serve his people. He didn't go there to go and eat money, and no corruption case was ever filed against him. If you make it part-time, you will now see real patriots come out to serve Nigeria. You will no longer see everybody killing himself or herself to go to the center. By the way, we are not practicing federalism. We are practicing a unitary system of government where the entire 67 items on the exclusive legislative list are more in favor of the federal government against states and local governments. What is the business of federal government with marriage? Do you know that your marriage, your relationship between you and your wife is governed by an act of parliament, the Marriage Act? In other words, how you dissolve your marriage, how you marry, how you have children, it is the business of the federal government. A matter that should actually concern not even a state, but a local government. What is the business of the federal government? With being a monopolist of electricity, when I should be allowed to generate electricity in my house. Go to Abuad, Abebabaloa University, where I presented the 10th convocation lecture on the 20th of October last year. They generate their own electricity, up to 5 megawatts. Wow, what is your business, federal government? With this, with railways, that you are the only one who can construct a railway. What happens to Edo State if the government decides to construct one from Ifukwe, my village, through Agenebode, up to Okpela? Why should you stop it? So these problems are endemic and systemic. So we have a National Assembly and particularly a Senate that has been corrupted by the system and by the executive, that has become afraid of its own shadow. This government is on its way going out. I'm just writing an article now. I will put it out today. I titled it, Our Leaders, the Ephemerality of Power. Go to James, 2 James. It's a power. It's like a bubble. You pinch it and it goes. It vanishes. Ecclesiastics, nothing lasts forever. Even life itself. Shakespeare, life is but a walking shadow. A poor player that frets and struts his hour upon the stage and is heard no more. It was a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Now, a government that is going, you have been there for 8 years. Listen to this. 2 weeks ago, the president went to the Senate, to the National Assembly, and said, I want to borrow $800 million. Who has calculator there? 800 million times 760. Can somebody do that? 800 million. 800. They put 60 times 760. That is what the Buhari administration told the Senate 2 weeks ago. They want, Senate said, Mr. Yes, Senate. Mr. Yes, sir. Senate said, approved. To do what with that money? In the twilight of your going, They have just approved over 400 billion. They say payment of judgment debts. Who are the judgment creditors? Have you not seen the judgment creditors in the last 8 years? These are parting gifts for the boys. Nobody is deceived. If everybody is, I am not. Then the same president went to the Senate 3 weeks ago. I said, we want to borrow. Yeah, thank you. Do you know how much that is? $800 million is 608 billion naira. 608 billion naira. With that amount, every state of the 36 states in Nigeria can have a first-class hospital fully equipped that will never allow any Nigerian to leave the shores for treatment abroad. Do you hear me? Are you hearing me? The same federal government 3 weeks ago went to the Senate and said, give us 22.7 trillion naira as ways and means loans, ways and means, 22.7 trillion naira. I thought another government is supposed to come in on the 29th of May. Is today not 26? Abi? Is it not on Monday? So, having borrowed money for our generations yet unborn, having sold our yesterday, having mortgaged our today, why are you against selling our tomorrow? Why are you borrowing? What do you mean by ways and means? 22.7 trillion naira. Wait for it. It's not yet ended. It's not yet ended. On again, few weeks ago, the federal government again got approval from the National Assembly to borrow 819.54 billion naira. They call it domestic loan to fix infrastructure. Domestic loan to fix infrastructure. Which infrastructure? When are you going to fix it? I thought you are going in the next few days. But if we had a strong National Assembly, particularly the red chambers, the Senate, in our bicameral legislature, they will say, no, sir, Mr. President, wait for the next government come and take a decision as to how they want to govern this country. But that is not what we are seeing. So, I have itemized about, I looked at some of the problems we are having, and when I quickly tell you these problems, I will tell you the solutions. I do not just believe in damage assessment. I do not believe in crying over spilled milk. When you say something is wrong, what do you do to right the wrong? Because there are many problems. Now, the first major problem which I identify is corruption and greed. And I've itemized some of it. Go and check the budget of Nigeria every year. They will say spoons, cutlery, golden spoons, and forks. They will say about 50 billion to 100 billion naira. As a spoon, fork, and you say they are gold. Are they also diamond? So, do you replace cutlery every 4 years? What we have been having is a maximalist dictatorial presidency, not the type we borrow from America. No, it is the kind of presidency that behaves like Louis XIV of France, that stood in front of Parliament imperiously in 1655 to declare, "L'État, c'est moi, I am the state." He approximated himself to the state. American presidency has its own checks and balances. Joe Biden will not simply come out and make a funny request. They will hack him down. But we don't have such a system. We are using a system that is too humongously expensive for us to maintain. instead of the simple Westminster system of government that we operated. So we have this problem of corruption and greed. We have ethnicity and religious sentiments always befuddling us. Ethnicity, you already know. Religious sentiments, you already know. Professor Onigo Otite, in his demographic survey of Nigeria, said Nigeria has 374 ethnic groups that speak over 350 languages. I tell people, I am from Wepa Wano, ethnic nationality, and Esako. From Esako, I'm of Edoid origin. If you talk about 374 ethnic groups in Nigeria, Esako is one of these 374 ethnic groups. Why do you just simply equate Nigeria to the Hausas, Fulanis, the Yorubas, and the Igbos, and you feel you have finished with Nigeria? That is why we can't move. Because we are standing Nigeria on a tripod. A tripod is not balanced. If you look at Nigeria from the prism of three ethnic groups, what happened to the other 371 ethnic groups? Do you think God created me as an Esako person to be subjugated, to be dominated, to be oppressed, to be repressed, to be suppressed, to be marginalized by any other ethnic group? God couldn't have been that naive. He's an almighty God. He doesn't make mistakes. I'm proud to be an Esako person. I don't want to be a Yoruba man. I don't want to be an Igbo man. I don't want to be a Hausa man. I don't want to be Fulani man. I'm not Baki. I'm not TV. I'm not Idoma. I'm not Igala. I'm not Ogoni. I'm an Esako man. Until we start respecting ourselves, we will not move anywhere. I have executive interference here. I've already talked about that. I have here truancy and absence from legislative duty. I've touched on that. The egocentric nature of the legislature that made them to query Prince Tony Momo in 1983 to come and disclose the source of information, and he said he will not. Of course, he went to court and he won the case. May Tony Momo soul rest in our eternal fidelity. I've also preferred some solutions here. I have a 54-page paper here. I've just decided to speak to it. I've already sent it to Chief Richard Lamai, which he can generously distribute for everyone here. And the solutions are for us to promote responsible governance and curbing legislative misuse of power. We must strengthen the rule of law. We must enhance transparency and accountability. We must allow for public participation in the decision-making process of our laws.